guys, is Joe Biden responsible for the border crisis? Yes or no?
We.
Yes?
See.
Yes.
See.
He's the president, so he's responsible.
See.
What about this gentleman?
Shout out to Rio. Shout out to Rio.
Responsible or what?
Like Rio from Coast Contra said. See.
The president, so he's responsible. What about this gentleman? He's got an opinion on the sign. Is this guy responsible? He's the president, so he's responsible.
Facts.
Joe Biden responsible for the border crisis? Yes or no? Yes?
No doubt.
Yes. He's the president, so he's responsible. What about this gentleman? He's got an opinion on the sign. Is this guy responsible or what? This border crisis. What's going on, you know? Is it his fault, border crisis? Oh, it's right. Yes. Okay, we got a lot of yeses today.
What's the border crisis?
The border crisis is that our southern border is wide open. We've got literally tens of millions of people flooding in. We don't know who they are, where they're coming from. I just don't think that you can maintain the sovereignty and autonomy of a nation with that sort of immigration policy. You think the border crisis is Joe Biden's fault? Know who they are, where they're coming from. I just don't think that you can maintain the sovereignty and autonomy of a nation with that sort of immigration policy. You think the border crisis is Joe Biden's fault?
You gotta be sagacious. You gotta be logical.
Know who they are, where they're coming from. I just don't think that you can maintain the sovereignty and autonomy of a nation with that sort of immigration policy.
Based what he just said. What he just said is based, logical.
Know who they are, where they're coming from. I just don't think that you can maintain the sovereignty and autonomy of a nation with that sort of immigration policy. You think the border crisis is Joe Biden's fault? Of course not. Sir, do you mind if we ask you why you think so? Do you mind if we ask you why you don't believe so? Why you were... It was? You know, I would even be willing to say 30 years ago it's maybe more of a border quagmire, a border situation, but now I think it's escalated such that it is a border crisis, which is why it's in red to imply the severity of the situation. So it's going on for how long? There's this current border crisis? Yeah. Since like 2021. The current one, when it's been going on for probably 100 years. Yeah, immigration's always been kind of a problem for the United States, but when we're talking about the border crisis, we're talking about what's happening right now. So you don't hold them responsible? No.
Hey, Cracker Barrel cheese. Tonight's the night.
Wild.
You are going to
Wild, yo.
It's been stagnant for the last 30 to 40 years of leadership and stuff. You want to talk about it? Yeah, sure. Why not? So the last 30 to 40 years, just meaning it's basically been an issue for a long time. Yeah, I don't know why the U.S. military is not along the border. It's always been my position. Can't hold one person responsible for the commander-in-chief in charge of enforcing federal law. He's probably not helping a lot right now, but he's not responsible for all of it, right?
I see both sides.
Crossing the border.
He's not responsible for all of it, right?
You have a problem with your people that are crossing the border, your lawns and doing your repairs and everything?
Do I have a problem with if you're saying, should I support illegal immigration if they're doing the lawn services?
Yeah, the lawn service and all our construction and everything like that?
No.
I think usually we'd like to see.
If they enter illegally, no. I support legal. Like I said before, I support legal, but yeah, you cannot enter illegally. You cannot enter illegally. You cannot enter illegally. That yeah. You got it. Girl.
Do I have a problem with if you're saying, should I support illegal immigration if they're doing the lawn services?
Yeah, the lawn service and all our construction and everything like that?
I think usually we would like to see Americans getting jobs.
I think
Correct.
every president that in office is trying to do the best they can. I don't know if I can say that he is responsible for the border crisis.
So why do you think it's not his fault? What do you think he could be he doing to, I mean, what do you think is out of his hands, would you say?
You know, I don't know. I think his hands are probably tied. I'm not sure that he could do anything. I'm not sure what he can do, really.
When it comes to mass immigration, yeah, I think we need to have increased security. Do I blame Biden for it? Somewhat. Do I blame Trump for it? Somewhat. Do I blame Obama? Somewhat.
I don't think one person is responsible for any crisis that happens.
Regardless
I see what that guy says.
for
The
it,
guy,
somewhat.
the guy
Do I
with the
blame
glasses.
Obama?
The
Somewhat.
guy
I
with
don't think
the
one
glasses.
person is responsible for any crisis that happens.
Regardless of who the blame fully rests on, don't you agree that he has the power as the commander-in-chief to get the
Yes,
border under
yes.
control right
I'm
now?
pretty
Yes.
sure he does. And why he doesn't is another question.
When it comes to Joe Biden, he can actually fix the border tomorrow by just enforcing the laws.
Yeah.
He's already tried to do some things and he got stopped, right?
He got stopped?
Yeah.
No, it's the people trying to enforce the border in Texas that are being stopped by Biden sending his lawyers to stop them.
He tried to negotiate and had a deal on the table and they said no.
Joe Biden inherited a 45 low of illegal crossings. We now have the worst border crisis in American history. Week one, halted construction of the border wall, pulled out of the... Oh, really quick, can we finish?
Joe Biden is going to solve the problem.
Let me finish really quick. He pulled out of the Remain in Mexico agreement and then reinstated catch and release. Those three things is why the crisis is out of control right now.
Do you think the president or the minister of Israel is responsible for the war?
Well, we're talking about Joe Biden and our border right now, though.
Yeah, he tries to divert. He tries to deflect. The guy with
Israel is
the
responsible for the war.
shades.
Well, we're talking about Joe Biden and our border right now, though.
The person's not responsible for the border crisis. Whether it's Joe Biden
That
or
is
any other
crazy
person.
that Buddy tried to divert
For the border crisis.
deflect.
Whether it's Joe Biden or any other person in the United for the border crisis. Whether it's Joe Biden or any other person in the for the border crisis. Whether it's Joe Biden, Israel is responsible for the war.
Well, we're talking about Joe Biden and our border right now, though.
The person's not responsible for the border crisis. Whether it's Joe Biden or any other person in the United States.
All right, you guys. Take a few moments to talk about today's spawn. National Set of Legion. 6.
It surprised me. You know, how many crossed last month? The 20th.
ProtectFluid.com. That is ProtectFluid.com. Or call 866-335-CLUE. Let's get back on this video.
Do you know how many crossed last month? The 20,000? 20,000? No, 302,000 people.
Wow.
It doesn't surprise me. You know,
Very
it's
high.
not monitored. You know, our military and funding should be going towards the border, among other things. But Biden said he's willing to shut down the border. I read online, as long as the Republicans pass this bill.
Yeah.
Do you know what's in that bill? No, I've not read it. Why do you think there needs to be more funding to protect it, the border? Because the only way you're going to be able to finance what I would believe is to have a military strip along the border. I mean, that's going to cost, you got to pay salaries for all the soldiers, equipment, et cetera. That's going to have to cost at least a couple $100 million.
You know what it is? It's when everybody wants one thing to be done in the government, then they'll just sell it, their whole souls out, just so they'll have a bargaining chip.
He's doing fine.
I'm doing okay.
He's doing great.
I'm a trucker, don't worry about it.
Is she not? Is your wife not?
The
House divided?
It's a complicated problem, you realize that, right?
Yes.
You got people coming from other countries that are persecuted, that have a very low standard of living. They want to come
Here in the
here.
United States because Joe Biden's letting them in.
What is Joe Biden at the border saying, come on?
His policies, like I just said, reinstated catch and release, pulled out of Remain in Mexico. What is false about what I'm saying?
Everything. One person cannot be in charge of a border crisis.
It's literally the federal government's job to
It's a
protect the border.
multifaceted issue where all kinds of people, politics, government, big business, it's all part of the issue. So you're saying,
Sleepy
but
Joe epitomizes softness, spinelessness. Sleepy Joe epitomizes softness, softness, spinelessness.
It's literally the federal government's job to
It's a
protect the border.
multifaceted issue where all kinds of people, politics, government, big business, it's all part of the issue.
Yeah.
So you're saying, oh, but it's one person. It's not one person.
We overturn the policies that we're working under Trump.
Naive to think one person could be responsible for the border crisis.
Doyle, do you blame Joe Biden for the border crisis that we're seeing right now, or no? It's actually very funny you ask. I do blame Joe Biden for the border crisis, being that he is the chief executive of the country. I mean, he oversees the bureaucracy, the Department of Homeland Security, the institutions that would be in charge of securing the border, and he's refusing to enforce the federal law that's on the books.
Soft, weak,
And he's
weak,
literally allowing
weak.
these people to come over, and he is also, and I think the first week of his administration, he undid a lot of the Trump era policies, such as, you know, the Remain in Mexico policy, for example. And now the resources that he is directing towards the southern border are because states like Texas have said, okay, well, the federal government isn't doing their job, we're going to have to maintain the security of the nation and secure the border. And he's now threatening to send federal police down, but to stop Texan police, Texan Rangers from doing that. So it's not just incompetence. For some reason, his administration has decided that the border has to remain open. And I, as a well-informed citizen, can only wonder why that
Not
might be.
wise.
What do you guys think about
Not
that?
wise.
You heard about this?
Not sagacious. It is, yeah. It is crazy, yo. Crazy.